Hello and welcome, students, to another episode of History at Home. In today's episode, we will be looking at the class procedure for how to enter class. So, in front of you, you should have this sheet titled the Cornell Notes page. And at the top in the topic box, please write in class procedures. As we go through this video source, or really any source, whether it's video or written this school year, you should jot down notes that you see or hear or read in this column here, the notes column. Keep in mind as well, you don't always have to copy every single thing that is displayed within a source, but in history class, what you want to draw your attention to mostly are items such as number one, achievements, developments, and discoveries within history. Two, the place in which items take place in within history, the chronology, so the sequence of events, what came first, second, third, etc. Cause and effect, and also some vocabulary that is unique to the topic that you are examining. And lastly, the interactions and roles of people within society. How do different social classes function together and work together within the grander society? After you have your notes from the source in this column here, you should review your source and develop 4 possible test questions in this column here, the question column. Below each question that you come up with, you should also provide the answer to that question so that when you go to study for a test, you can go and look at your Cornell notes and come up and look at different questions that you believe might be on the test based on the source that you viewed. So let's imagine that we are trying to organize our information on this Cornell Notes sheet. What you should do in order to organize it and make it more easy to follow is organizing your notes underneath main ideas. So for your main ideas, you want to organize and group different things within your notes underneath larger objectives, things as the achievements of people within history or within the field that you're studying, the places and the different events that take place within these places, or again, that idea of cause and effect. How do certain changes within history affect courses down the road? So you want to group your notes underneath a larger core idea, and then from there have some sub notes, some supporting information about the main idea. Overall, a good rule of thumb or a good phrase or saying to keep in the back of your mind as you're viewing a source and taking notes is the goal of note taking. The goal of note taking is to record as much information in as few words as possible. So you want to try to grasp or take a snapshot of the overall source, but do it in as few words as possible. So let's imagine that our class is going over famous pharaohs within Egyptian history. And we're talking about this guy here, arguably one of the most famous pharaohs within all of Egyptian history, King Tut. So maybe you make King Tut your main idea, and then the source talks about a whole bunch of things that happened within his life. Those things that happened within his life would be your subnotes. So maybe a note that you take is when he was born, 1341 BCE, the course of his reign from 1332 to 1323 BCE, his nickname, the Boy King, and also maybe his major accomplishments. The two that jump to mind are that he changed the religion of ancient Egypt and he moved their capital city. And then maybe you talk about his demise. We know he died suddenly. So that would be your main idea. And then underneath, you would have an indentation and some subnotes that talk about the things that happen within that person's life. From there, I would review these notes and develop a review question or two that I think I might see on a test down the road. So maybe one question are, what were 2 accomplishments of King Tut during his reign? And below that question, I would also put the answer to that question. He changed the religion of Egypt and moved the capital city. So you want 4 of these questions and answers, and you want to do them at the end and after you view the source. So let's talk about how to enter class this school year. So when you walk into the classroom, what you want to do is enter the classroom quietly and professionally, and you want to draw your attention to the Promethean board up front. And when you look at the Promethean board up front, you will see our Do Now assignment. So every day, for the most part, you will see a slide projected onto the screen looking like this, titled the Do Now. You'll see the date in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see 3 or 4 steps um, of what you need to do when you enter the classroom, and also you will see a section for homework. So the Do Now is a task that you should complete immediately when you enter the classroom. And to do that, all you need to do is follow the steps in order. Complete one, then number two, then number three. And the most common do now that we will have this school year is something called the question of the day, or the QOD. So when you come into class and you see that slide projected up on the board, and it says to collect a QOD slip, you're going to go up to this table right underneath the Promethean board, and you'll collect this slip here. And for this slip, it's called the question of the day, and it's a 5-point mini quiz to start class. To do this, what you'll need to do is fill out the header at the top with your first and last name and today's date. That will grant you 1 point on this assignment. You will write the question that I display. That will get you a 2nd point. And then from there, you'll also provide me with your answer quietly and independently. Answer the full question. So you can earn 3 out of 5 points even if you do not know the answer, simply by following our class procedures. By entering the classroom prepared, on time, and quietly, by completing the header, and by copying the question, that will get you 3 out of 5 points. Your answer is the most heavily weighted category. It's worth 2 points. So let's imagine that you came into class and you filled out the header at the top with your name and the date for that day, and I showed you this question. What you would need to do is write that question into this question column. You would have to think about the question for a moment or two, and then you would provide me with the answer to that question in this column and submit it to me when you are done. Lastly, what I would like to talk about in this video are the supplies that you will need to bring with you every day to class from here until the end of the school year. You need 4 items. You need to bring your pen or pencil. You need to bring your world history binder. You need to bring a pair of headphones or earbuds. And lastly, you should also be bringing your agenda book and using your agenda book every day in class. So to summarize today's video, I got 2 big takeaways that you should note. Number 1, you got to make sure you enter class quietly and begin working on the Do Now assignment immediately. The Do Now slide looks like this. You simply follow these steps in order, and most commonly, the Do Now will be tied to something called the question of the day. Usually, you'll have to collect a QOD slip off the front table, fill out your name at the top, the date, the question, and provide me with your answer. And then secondly, please make sure you start coming to class prepared every single day with your pen or pencil, your binder, your agenda book, and a pair of earbuds or headphones. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.